Woo! What's going on, guys? Almost Farm coming at you guys today with another video. And today we're going to actually talk about some Detroit Lions news that is actually important. This isn't about backup quarterbacks. This isn't about 19th wide receivers, wide receiver 19. It's not about anything like that, man. This is about actual starting players. Big V, HALAPOULIVAATI VAITAI, went on the IR. The injured reserve, out for the first 4 games of the regular season. Worthy news. This type of news is worth talking about. This kind of stuff. Never mind about Tim Boyle, Tom Kennedy, all that other junk. Obviously we're going to talk about that stuff too, but this should be a big focus. Now, personally, I think Big V is one of the weakest links on the O-line. I think we have a really good O-line. Okay, I do. I think him and Jonah Jackson are probably the 2 weakest links, in my opinion. It's just my opinion, even though Jonah Jackson did have a Pro Bowl berth last year. Played well. Now, in return, the Lions picked up, or they claimed, an offensive lineman, Drew Forbes, a former Brown. We'll get into him in a little bit too. But first, Big V. Big V played well last year, okay? He did. First year in the D, not so much. He was not good. He came over from Philly. He was a Philadelphia Eagle. He signed a 5-year, $45 million contract. And they tried to stick him at right tackle. He had lots of injuries going from Philly, coming in. Coming over here, Bob Quinn made the move, him and Patricia. And his level of play never really coincided with his money, his contract, if you will. Okay? It never really did. Last year, he did play good, though. We will admit that. He at least improved when they moved him to right guard. Right tackle, he was disastrous. He had slow feet. He just wasn't a good right tackle. He was too. It almost seemed like, it's funny to say when you say this about offensive linemen. He was too big. He seemed to be too big. Slow feet. Just didn't have it. He was better inside. Didn't have to move around that much. Play in a phone booth, and then he would have better results, and he did. It took this regime of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and Hank Fraley probably to figure that out. That's why I like those guys, as our future front office and head coach guys. But we can talk about that until we're blue in the face. It doesn't matter. Now comes up the question, who's going to fill in the shoes of Big V? Who's filling in those shoes? Now, there's a couple options here. We got a couple options. You got 24-year-old Tommy Kramer, 3 starts in 2021, because last year was a makeshift O-line too. Nobody ever stayed healthy. Starting 5 wasn't even together. 1 snap during the regular season. So you got Tommy Kramer, who I think is going to be Tommy Kramer. Then you have Evan Brown, a 25-year-old, 12 starts, but all at center. For the most part, I think is at center. Been on a couple teams though, but really played well when Ragnow went down. Played exceptionally well, actually. And he's a center, better at center than he is guard, but he can play both. He's versatile. Tommy Kramer, not so much. He's a guard. He did take some snaps this year during preseason and training camp at center, though. Then you have 25-year-old Logan Stenberg, a guy that I thought shouldn't have made this team, but he did. 9 games dressed in a couple of years he's been here, 0 starts. Okay? Or are they going to fill in the guy that they signed, or they claim today, offensive lineman Drew Forbes? Now, he's another guy that's going out about 6'5", 305 pounds. Played at Southeast Missouri State. He was a Red Hawk, Southeast Missouri State Red Hawk. But strictly as a left tackle. He did 4 years in college, 3 years as a starter at left tackle. I'm not really going to get into his draft profile. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't do a deep dive on this kid. I didn't go look at his tape. I just didn't really do it because I found out a little bit later on today. Now the Browns ended up taking him back in 2019 in the 6th round. Dressed for 3 games there. He had some knee injuries going on. So total 2019 and 2021. He opted out 2020 because of COVID. Okay? Now, moved the guard immediately. The draft profile that I did look at, I did read a little bit on him, that he was set to play guard in the NFL. He was not going to play left tackle. Didn't have the length, didn't have the pop. There was a lot of things that just he didn't have. Didn't have the wingspan. There were just things that screamed offensive guard, right or left. And I think he's been playing right guard for the Browns. So he's had a little bit of his. He didn't have that great of an early career so far. He's just a young guy still, but he's a guy that's coming over. I don't know if he's going to be playing. I don't think he's going to be starting right away. We just picked him up. This kid probably not even going to dress. So we're probably going to see Tommy Kramer. Tommy Kramer is going to probably be our new right guard for at least 4 games. That's my prediction. They could put Brown in there. They could start that with Brown and then see how it goes. I think Tommy Kramer would be the better option. But, I am not Hank Fraley. I don't know what this regime is thinking. But the one thing that just bugs me about this is that when Big V went down a couple weeks ago, and this bugs a lot of media people, and it's never really bugged me up until maybe a little bit today. He was a guy that was at practice 2 weeks ago. I think it was even August 15th that they made this announcement. It was during training camp, August 15th. And they made that announcement that Big V was in the building or on the practice field, and then disappeared, was gone. Some reporters seen him, some didn't even know he was in. Some just thought maybe he was inside getting work done. Some people didn't know if he was hurt, sick. It was kind of a mystery. I remember when it was reported, it was like just no sign of him, nothing. The regime didn't say nothing. Dan Campbell didn't really say nothing. He's extremely transparent. He always kind of tells it like it is. He's been not as transparent this year. I will admit that. There's some things that he's kind of holding back, and I think that's a good thing in some circumstances. But obviously they thought this injury was bad enough where they were kind of worried. They didn't want to talk about it too much. Now look, he's on IR. They almost did the same thing with Pascal. Pascal was at rookie minicamp, got hurt, banged up, and then he was like gone. Then all of a sudden you heard like a month or so later or 2 months later, oh, he had surgery, by the way. He had surgery on his, he had a hernia, that sports hernia. Oh, really? Okay. Like, I'm not really upset about it, but, you'd like to be kept in the loop, but, that's not, they don't have to divulge that information to the media. Obviously they don't, or they would get in trouble for not doing it. Bill Belichick has done it for years. Bill Parcells used to do it. They all do it. A lot of coaches do it. A lot of coaches are not transparent when it comes to injuries. And I kind of understand it. But this is a little bit disturbing. This is actual news. Like, I'll talk about the backups. I'll talk about Tom Kennedy. I will. But this is news. This is a starter. This is big. Now, I like Tommy Kramer. I like Evan Brown. Please, dear God, don't play Logan Stenberg. And I know nothing really about this Drew Forbes kid. So I personally think it's going to be Tommy Kramer. You might even see Evan Brown get a shot right away too, because he was pretty good last year in those 12 games. But that's it, guys. This is news. Big V's out for the first 4 games of the year. Doesn't mean he's done. Don't know what his injury is. Just find out, man. I'm sure we'll find out in the next coming days. But that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching the vid. Don't forget to hit subscribe button at the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Get all my videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this out. I know it's the offensive line. It's not the pretty players, man. It's not the flash. But I'm telling you, this is what makes teams go, man. The O-line and the D-line. We need these O-linemen intact. This is big news, man. But thanks a lot, guys. Go, baby. Lions, one pride. Boom.